Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Candace Yvette with Black Women Aware. And y'all, I wasn't expecting to get back on here tonight, but I just got I'm lost for words. I'm excited. Let me just calm down before I start stuttering. But y'all know I just got done doing a live on Shanye Rowe. Okay. And I mentioned how I had shared a post. Okay. I just got off the live and I mentioned how I shared a post a few months ago with Felicia Johnson, Ella Goody, Keeshae Jacobs, and now I finally remember the third young lady. She was from my home city and state, okay, and she was found deceased, okay. Um, but I just did that live, and I just so happened to look up Keeshae Jacobs, her name, and everything. And there's new information that came out on this case. And the reason why I got back on here and the reason why this is so explosive is because I always tell y'all that God has blessed me with a gift of discernment and a gift, I wouldn't say a prophecy, but when he gives me messages, sometimes he gives me visions. And I remember interviewing with Tony Jacobs, okay? And at the time, I did not have access to YouTube Live. I was still building this channel up, as I'm still currently building this channel up. But we had to interview on the phone. I had to edit the audio and I had to upload it later. And I remember speaking with Tony Jacobs. Our first time that we interviewed together, it was such a spiritual experience for me that after I interviewed with her, because Miss Jacobs has such a big heart. And if you don't know who Tony Jacobs is the mother of the missing Keeshae Jacobs. Okay. Now, when me and Miss Tony Jacobs we spoke, I think she wasn't laughing at me. She was just laughing at how surprised I was when I spoke to her, because y'all, I was over the top. I was so excited. Her spirit is so light and full of joy and passion and love that it literally gave me goosebumps and it brought me to tears. And I think she was moved by that and she kind of laughed through the interview. But I really enjoyed speaking with her. I felt like I had a connection, some type of spiritual connection there. And I was able to even show her as I spoke on the phone. And I told her, I said, this isn't too professional, but I have to tell you what I'm seeing in a vision as I am speaking to you on this phone as you talk about your daughter. Okay, I'm going to pull up my slides real quick because y'all, I am overwhelmed with emotion right now. I have been praying. I pray for every young lady who I share their story on my channel. Okay. Yeah, come on, Sharon Smith. Say that again. Say that shit again, Sharon. Say that again. Say her name. You ain't never lied, Sharon. And I'm so full of emotion right now because y'all, when I talked to Tony Jacobs, again, Tony Jacobs has a heart of gold. Lord, forgive me. Y'all forgive me if I curse on this live tonight because I'm so full of emotion. Because again, when I spoke to Miss Jacobs, I began to see visions. And we're going to go over that interview that I did with her on this live tonight. But before we do, I'm going to upload my slides and I'm going to share the new information about this case. So if y'all just bear with me, I got to upload these slides. But I feel just overwhelmed because it confirms to me, y'all, because again, when I was a little girl and I used to have these visions and stuff, people used to say, Candace, you're crazy, because they couldn't understand me. So seeing the article pop up just after I just mentioned Keeshae's name on a live, I haven't even been off of YouTube Live for a good hour, and I see an update on a case where y'all, if y'all don't remember, Keeshae went missing. I remember when she went missing. She went missing September of 2016. Okay, she went missing September of 2016. So she's been gone a good 6 years, almost 7 years she's been gone, y'all. Okay. And when I talked to her mother, it was such a connection there because the woman has a heart of gold, y'all. She really do. I couldn't even get off the phone with her. And then not only that, like I didn't want to get off the phone with her. I didn't want to end the interview because it wasn't like I was having an interview. It felt like I was talking to a friend. Like I would say, hell, better than a friend. That's how much that interview moved me because her heart is so good. Not only that, but I just connected with her. Not only her, but shout out to Charisma Davenport's mother because Charisma is one of the first young ladies. Her mother was one of the first young ladies who who I interviewed with rather, who went missing. She also reached out to me. I reached out back to her. I'm still waiting for her to get back to me. She wanted to update me on Charisma's how Charisma was doing and things like that. So I'm praying that she gets back to me. But before I get ahead of myself, because I am so excited, y'all, I got to pull these slides up. I have to pull these slides up. But yeah, then I'm going to pull this article up. We're going to go over it, and we're going to go over that interview that I did with Miss Tony Jacobs because, y'all, it just moved me. And it moved me to the point where, like, again, I pretty much have a spiritual relationship with God. You know, I probably should go to church, not really to, again, when I go to church, it's pretty much to reconnect with God. I really don't try to mix and mingle with people too much, you know, not because, you know, I'm antisocial or nothing, but just because my focus is on God when I go, right? But again, her interview, y'all, it moved me so much that when I got off the phone with Miss Jacobs, not only did I stop by the church, and it was a weekday when I interviewed Miss Tony Jacobs, but I was in my socks, y'all. I was in my socks. I'd done that interview in my vehicle. I'd done the interview in my car. And I was so moved because I know that what I'm doing over here on Black Women Aware, it is going to help so many Black women, so many women in general, really, but it's really going to help Black women. And it's going to be a different type of movement that I knew that I have to hold myself accountable, and I have to start to look at myself as a servant of the people. I have to do this in integrity. I have to have a good heart. I have to have a heart to serve. You understand what I'm saying? So when I got off the phone with Miss Tony Jacobs, I had to go by the church because that's how much it moved me. Okay. And then she has a foundation where she ministers to her community. Minister is nothing but a fancy word for service. And Miss Tony Jacobs, she ministers to the people of Richmond, Virginia, because she also like brings awareness to missing persons cases. Okay. She brings awareness to missing. Yeah, Sharon said, I have conversed with Miss Jacobs, and my God, she is amazing. She is amazing. She's amazing, y'all. So when I seen this update on this case, I had to hurry up and jump on here because I'm like, wow, I got to bring this to my audience because not only because at that time, when y'all gonna hear what I told her in the interview, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I did see something in a vision. Okay, when I interviewed with Miss Jacobs. So we will be going over that interview. But before we do, I'm going to read the updates on this case, y'all, because again, it moved me, y'all, and I feel happy. I feel like we're getting somewhere. Okay, it's so hard to do these stories, and especially when you know the majority of the time these stories are going to get buried. Okay, it's very hurtful when that happens, but I'm aware that it happens. Okay, so first we're going to listen to the audio. Okay, and then after we listen to this audio, we're going to get into the interview. So let me just get this started here.
First, it was 6 years ago tonight at this very hour, a Richmond woman went to a friend's house and hasn't been seen since. Her name is Keeshae Jacobs.
Tonight, in partnership with the Reopen the Case Foundation, Crime Insider John Burkett takes a look inside the house where the 21-year-old was last seen, and he spoke with the owner about the person of interest in this case.
This was the last known place that my daughter was seen.
Keeshae Jacobs, she was 21 years old at the time of her disappearance. There has been a person of interest in this case. He was convicted of another crime in that house, strangulation of a woman. The girl was tied to this bed. The red flags have got to be going up all over the place. Abduction. This is our guy. He is a predator.
I believe he gave her to someone. I believe my daughter's out there somewhere.
Yes.
Now, a woman who lived in the same house reached out to us after seeing our story. Have you ever thought to yourself, maybe I could have done more and Keeshae would still be here? Or
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what? I'm going to be pausing and speaking all throughout this interview, and as well as going over my last interview that I did with Keeshae's mother. Y'all have to understand, and please forgive me, be patient with me on this live, because I am very overwhelmed with emotion right now, okay? When I cover these cases, it's not for me. It is for the families, okay? It is because the whole reason I started, and I will never stop saying it, the whole reason I started Black Women Aware is because I know how it is to deal with law enforcement, not only with missing persons cases, but with domestic violence issues, and feel ignored, not only just by law enforcement, but by your community. Okay, so y'all got to excuse me tonight because I might get a little emotional, but I remember speaking on the phone, and I just got to go over these visions. I know I said I will wait, but again, I'm just too overwhelmed with emotion right now. I'm not going to try not to tear up with this, but I remember being in my car. I remember even how the weather looked those 4 months ago when I interviewed with Miss Jacobs. I was in the car and she began to tell me about how her mind just doesn't stop. She never stops worrying about her daughter and her daughter's well-being. And not only that, but y'all have to understand that after her daughter went missing, her son was unalived. Okay, and I have to say unalived because y'all know the YouTube bots be tripping, but he was unalived. Okay, and so I don't understand her, and I don't know how she was able to persevere and endure and get through that, but she did. But the one thing that I remember telling Miss Jacobs was, I seen in a vision. And in the vision, it was a giant. And you know, the guy, I seen how he looked. I seen his race. I seen all of that with this guy. Okay. He was standing like a giant in the vision, and all around him were smaller people, not midgets, but just miniature smaller people. And they would tap on him, they would tap on this giant man, and then he would grimace more, and the miniature people, they would run off. And this is what I'm seeing in this vision, right? And so it overwhelmed me to the point where I cut in, like I believe Tony was saying something, and I said, I'm sorry, Miss Jacobs. I said, this might even be a little bit professional, and I feel a little silly by telling you this, but I have to say it, okay? Because if I don't tell you what I'm seeing in this vision, I'm not going to have peace, okay? That's how serious it is when God puts something on your heart. So I began to tell her, and I said, somebody, it's a person, it's an individual out there who knows where Keeshae is. They know what happened to her. They know, they have all the answers, and it's people around. Lord, I'm starting to cry because I freaking said this 4 months ago in a vision. I said it is people around this man who has something to do with your daughter's disappearance, and they are the miniature people. They represent the miniature people in this vision that I'm seeing, and they're tapping on the man. And the reason why they're tapping on him, the tapping is representative of them trying to talk to him and say, hey, it's been long enough. It's time to give this up. Okay, it's time to pull the wool back. It's time to give the mother closure. It's time to give this up. Okay, and so I told her, I said, he don't want to because it's going to incriminate him. Okay, if he had a way being the snake that he is, and I'm talking about this predator who has something to do with her disappearance, if he had a heart, or rather not a heart, but a way to pin it on somebody else, he'd have been told you what happened to your daughter a long time ago. But all roads lead back to him, and he will hold on to it. And so the fact that it's a young lady in this video that you are listening to, it is a young lady who used to live in the house where Keeshae was last seen, coming forward. Okay, and the fact that now y'all relate that to the vision that I just shared with y'all. Okay, these same visions that I've been having since I was 11, 12 years old, people have been telling me that I'm crazy. I have that interview still on Black Women Aware. It was 4 months ago. Okay, and I've been told Miss Jacobs, I said it's people around, and in the vision, the miniature people represent the people that have connections to this man. Okay, they probably do business connections, friend connections, associates. It doesn't matter. This young lady in this video, she says she used to live at the house where Keeshae disappeared. And I said those people, they are starting to break down, because you got to understand, in the spiritual realm, God will work on people's minds. He will work on people's hearts. He will turn their hearts to have your enemies work in your favor. Okay. And I told her, I said, people are starting to break down around him, and they're tapping on him like, hey man, it's time to give this up. And every time the giant in the vision would grimace, I said that's a representative of him getting angry, because he knows that if he lets it go, he going down, y'all. He going to prison. But let's continue with this video.
I talk to her 2 or 3 times a day. This is not my daughter. And the goal, this is the 3rd day not hearing from her, is turning me up, because this is not her. And all I want to do is hear her voice and know she's okay. But my fear says she's not going to come home. And I'm not going to tell her that I love her again.
Keeshae Jacobs, she was 21 years old at the time of her disappearance. The initial detective on the case was Detective Billy Thompson at RPD until he retired about a year ago. Right now, they're kind of taking a two-pronged approach. They have a homicide detective assigned to it and a missing persons detective assigned to it. The missing persons detective is Clarence Key, and the homicide detective assigned is Anthony Coates. How important is this house in this investigation?
Well, the house was very important because this is where she was at. She was dropped off.
And you have these detectives and reporters and journalists and all, and they're standing in front of the house where Keeshae was last seen, okay? And y'all want to know something that's odd about them, about me seeing this house? Because even though I know in the physical realm, this is my first initial time seeing this house, even when Ms. Jacobs talked about the house in our interview or whatever, I hadn't seen the house, y'all. But what's so crazy about this being my physical first time seeing this house is, spiritually, I'm not new to this house. I seen the house in a vision when I talked to her mother. That's why I'm sitting here with goosebumps. I'm shaking. I'm trying my best to keep my composure and not break up during this live. Because if I break up and I start crying, all my words is going to start running together, and y'all not going to understand what in the hell I'm talking about, okay?
Off here, we know she was inside, so it was very, very important. A lot of evidence was recovered inside and outside, so
That's where we're at.
that's where we're at, yeah.
After about a year of doing stories on Keeshae's disappearance, I learned of a person of interest name. We were reluctant to report it at the time because RPD asked us not to, but now, 5 years into this thing, almost 6 years.
His name is Otis Tucker. He went by Omar. But yeah, his name was Otis Tucker. I just recently found out he was in Florida. My most concern at this point is him doing it to somebody else, or by the time the Commonwealth attorney decide to press charges or do what they need to do, he's going to run. And it's going to prolong the process when they should have locked him up or kept him in jail when they had.
Otis has been questioned by the police, but not officially charged for the disappearance of Keeshae Jacobs. He's also convicted of a crime in that house of strangulation of a woman and also bodily harm. He was accused of rape, but that charge was dropped due to a plea deal.
So he had already had previous charges. One of those charges was strangulation of a woman and rape at that same residence. So it's a high chance that he had some involvement in Keeshae's disappearance, y'all.
If you can, tell me about it. There was another person this guy was arrested for and ended up serving time for.
Yes, there was an incident that was found out during the investigation of this case, and the person of interest is, I would probably say he is a predator. So.
We were interviewing the new detectives on the case when the homeowner, Karen G, came up
Mm-hmm.
and asked what we were doing. And when we told her, because she has a similar story in her family of a missing person that was found dead, she offered to let us inside. Let's get you out of this rain. So
Wow.
Is this the bed that she was alleged to be tied to? The woman in that case actually talked to one of our producers via Facebook Messenger. Here's what she said. But this is what's crazy. After he attacked me, we fist fought until he got me locked down into a position that I couldn't stop him from strangling me. When I woke up, I was tied up, but about 30 minutes later, Keeshae showed up, but he sent her away. She also said to our producer, the only way I even got away was because I let him drug me with Rimron, a psych medicine, but I have a tolerance, so it took 2 hours. He untied me after drugging me. I got up, got dressed like it was nothing, and he let me leave.
So this woman that Otis strangled, and I have to say allegedly, she, as her assault was taking place, Keeshae was there. Okay, Keeshae was there at that time. All right, and she's saying that she had to allow this man to drug her for her to get up out of there. And I'm thinking he drugged her and gave her some type of psych med so that she would possibly forget what happened to her. But because of her high tolerance, it didn't work. Okay.
Keeshae is the great-granddaughter of the woman who lived in the house. How are you? She felt guilty when she saw the promo, so she decided to reach out. I'm John Burkett.
What did I just say? What did I just say on here? I said that the miniature people in the vision, God would work on their hearts and their conscience would start to eat them up to where they felt like, hey, it is time to speak out about this. It is time to pull the wool from off of people's eyes and get this mother some closure on either what happened to her daughter or bring her daughter home. Okay, I just said that. I'm just now seeing this clip. This is my first time seeing this clip, like as y'all are seeing this clip. And I said this, y'all, 4 months ago. And so to see this come to pass, I'm amazed. Okay, I'm amazed. I'm amazed that one, and this is completely random, but I'm amazed that some people don't believe in God, because I see God in not only visions, but in when those visions come to pass all the time. All the time. Okay, and this girl, she just said she's in jail right now, but she said her guilt began to eat her up to where she said she couldn't hold it anymore. She had to say something.
Yep. She met Otis through work. There was a time that Otis lived on Maury Street. They'd get together, hang out. Keeshae was part of that group that would hang out with them. But eventually, it got to a point where they needed to move. That's when she suggested great-grandma's place in Churchill.
I would say not even a week went past, and I called the police and tried to get him removed from my great-grandma's house. They basically was like, he's basically a resident. They couldn't remove him from the house. And I'm like, well, he hasn't been here 30 days. He only paid $30, and I'm willing to give him his $30 back.
I wonder why they didn't check a lease.
In the house.
When you hear the detective call him a predator, what do you think about that?
I would say that's 100% correct. And it's crazy because, like, you really don't know people until, they show you your true colors. Like, and he definitely showed his true colors that night.
Keeshae was very honest, I thought, about some of the things that were going on inside of her grandmother's house. She talked about drug activity, which I thought she was pretty upfront with. She talked about her relationship with her grandmother and how her grandmother always stuck up for Otis inside the house. because Otis was basically brought there by Dejanay to look after the grandmother. But for whatever reason, she said her great grandma kept sticking up for Otis, so she decided it was time for her to go.
I just want my baby to come home.
And I'm thinking, and I don't know what condition the grandmother is in, but a lot of times, you know, older people know and they have an understanding of if they don't have a certain caregiver, they can be put in the homes. Like, you know, if it presents that they can't take care of themselves, they can be put in the homes. Now, again, I don't know why her grandmother would stick up for somebody like Otis or even any man over her granddaughter. But a lot of times, when old people are faced with a situation where you have somebody coming in to help them or be a caregiver to them, especially one that's cheap and affordable and don't ask for much, they will do stuff like that so they don't get put in a home, you know, because when they're in their own home, they feel like they have their own freedom or whatever. So it's, you know, it could be a number of reasons, but that was my first guess on it. Okay.
Home, and if you see anything or think you've seen her, please call so she can come home and she can be okay.
In the years past, I've grown to know Tony, Keeshae's mom. This woman has been through a lot.
Yeah.
She needs closure. That's the boss. She needs closure for this one. I think both me and Detective Key and Detective Thompson, we all feel the same way that we really like to close this out for her. Basically, the bottom line is that we'll put a case together, but we put the case together, Commonwealth Attorney prosecutes the case. So it's just a matter of what they feel that they could do with the case. So
I know he gave the information to the Commonwealth Attorney, and the Commonwealth Attorney they had it since April. And I've been calling and I've been calling and I've been calling, and they keep telling me this is a process. What kind of process do you need? It's going on 6 years.
Right.
September 26th will be 6 years.
You know, Keeshae disappeared in September of 2016. Her son was murdered at the Motel 6 on Midlothian Turnpike months later.
I'll never get to tell my son I love him again, and I'll never get to hear it again. And I'm just praying Keeshae comes home so I can tell her I love her.
The guy that was serving time for her son's death, the killer in her son's case, is already out and about. He's already served his time and he's out. Just over the course of reporting this story for the last 2 months, I feel like we've made a lot of strides in this case. I think we're getting closer and closer to figuring out exactly what happened for Miss Jacobs. And I think she feels it too. Just by talking to her on the phone, I think she feels like we are getting closer to answers. You know, tonight, when this airs, this will be the 6th anniversary of her daughter's disappearance. So, in my opinion, it's 6 years too long.
Yes.
And we need some closure for this woman.
Definitely too long. And that's pretty much the end of that little snippet. But I just want to say that as we were listening to that clip, and you have these investigators and these advocates and journalists and different people going through this home where Keeshae was last seen, I immediately got a very, very dark feeling about that house. It basically has a lot of bad energy on it. I can't really say much more than that, but that house has very bad energy. It just does. Like, I'm thinking, I really don't want to say everything that's on my mind, but I'm just thinking a house like that either need to be burnt down or, you know, it basically needs to be blessed. It needs an exorcism or something, because it just looking at the house on the clip, you could just feel the dark energy. It looks very creepy. Okay. But let me go over this interview that I did with Miss Jacobs about 4 months ago. So and I'm just looking it up here. I had it pulled up already, but Okay.
Hi guys, today I'm sharing True Connect, a cellular service. They are on a mission to connect the underconnected.
Okay, I'm just skipping past my introduction. You guys listen to this interview. If you know anything, as per all the missing cases on my channel, I will have contact information for the detective who is working the case in the description box below. Okay, and I also hope you pay attention to what Ms. Jacobs is saying about the process she went through with the police and everything. And because you guys have to realize that it could be any one of us or our loved ones one day. And we have to stop turning a blind eye to missing persons and children in the Black community. We have to stop turning a blind eye. We have to stop being comfortable in dysfunction in our communities. If we have to do the hard work to change things in our communities so that they are safer for women and children and even men, then that is what we have to do. Okay, it's going to take for everybody to put their indifferences aside for the greater good. Okay, and that's what Black Women Aware is all about. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Listen, learn something, leave your comments below. Please remember, Black Women Aware is not like other channels. This is not an entertainment channel. You cannot come over here and shame victims. If you do, I have no problem blocking you and your comments will be removed. Thank you for your understanding. This is Candace Yvette again. I am signing off, and now it is on to the interview. Now, I might be going over some of the interview audio if it's too low, because we did do it over the phone, okay? At this time, we're going to conduct the interview, and I'm going to remind you not to say anything that you deem as confidential, because this will be uploaded. But, I think with the last interview, so please let me know if y'all have any trouble hearing it, okay? Went very well. But I believe, with the sound quality, maybe that was meant to happen, so that because we got deep with it. That call changed me. It really did. You helped me more than what I felt like I helped you. After I talked to you last Thursday, and I felt like I shouldn't hide this from you or shouldn't keep it from you. But after I talked to you, I went over to where I go to church, next door. I was in my socks, Ms. Jacobs, and I was like, look, somebody needs to pray for me. Because I knew when I talked to you, I knew that what I'm doing with my YouTube is not just about YouTube. It's bigger than that, and I felt like I needed, God's help to help me do this, help me continue to do it in integrity, So we're just going to start the interview off. You tell us about Keeshae and what happened around the day she went missing.
What happened one day, I was at work. I was at work and I was running late for work. I didn't go to school because I went to school in the evening. And I called Keeshae and was like, hey, I'm running behind. If you can, I'm going to call you when I get closer. Can you bring me my books? And she was like, sure, Mom. I got closer. I told her, called her and told her to bring me my books. She came outside. We talked for a minute. She was trying to grill me because I hadn't eaten. And she didn't think I was going to have time to eat. We just talked for a little bit, and then I left to go to school. I got home about 8-something. She was a little upset because she had an argument with at the time it was somebody she was seeing. She really didn't go into details what they was arguing about or whatever. But I just told her, like any mother, men come a dime a dozen. Don't let that stuff stress you out. It's not even worth it. And she pretty much agreed and calmed down, and then she said she was going out with some friends. And somebody came and picked her up. I didn't see who picked her up. I just was like, as normal. Make sure your phone charged. Make sure you'll be safe. Just let me know you made it, where you going, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, I will, Mom. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be home tomorrow. I was like, okay. About 11:30 or so, I know it was before 12, I got a text from her letting me know that she made it where she was at. And pretty much that she'll see me the next day, I was like, all right, I love you. She's like, I love you too. And I was like, I just want you to be safe. She said, all right, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow. And that was the last conversation that I had with my daughter.
The boyfriend at the time, was he ever, did the police ever question him?
Yeah. Matter of fact, the police questioned him, he cooperated. He came over the house and talked to me, and let me know what they was arguing about, and that he would never do anything to her. He just hoped that she's found, all that. But the police did question him and said that he was very cooperative.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so, the next day came, I didn't hear from Keeshae. And I usually hear from her by at least my lunch break. But I didn't. So I called her brother, and he was like, nah, he heard from her, pretty much she was supposed to pick some breakfast or whatever. But he was like, well, don't worry, she all right. She probably hung out a little bit. It was kind of late. I was like, yeah, you're right. But it bothered me because that's not like her. Usually I'd have heard from her to let me know to pick her up by the time I get off work, or, she's going to stay a little longer, or she's going to have a ride and she'll be home by the time I get home from work. Just something like that. Either way, I heard from her. I kept calling the phone, texting the phone, no response. The phone was going straight to voicemail. I got off of work. Her brother said he still hadn't heard from her, so I started calling her friends. Everybody told me, now this is the Tuesday after Keeshae went missing. Everybody told me that no, they hadn't talked to her. They're going to call around to see if, they heard anything or anybody seen her. I didn't hear anything, so I was like, let me get ready to go to bed. I decided to go ahead and go to bed because I had to work the next day. So maybe about 1, 2 o'clock on Wednesday morning, I woke up out my sleep and I started going door to door, knocking on people's doors. That I know I had dropped her off, or, she had me pick her up. Everybody said, nobody said they seen her or heard from her. So I called my sister Frantic, and my sister told me to call, she was like, go to the police and report her missing. And I was like, I didn't think it was been enough time, because, I was always told you got to wait at least 24 to 48 hours before you can report somebody missing. So I went to the police precinct. I got there. So the police officer was like, how do you know she's missing? She might not want to be bothered, because she's 21. And I had to open up my phone to let this man know. This girl calls me for everything. All day, every day. She texted me or called me for everything, every day, all day. And I hadn't heard from her. She didn't want to be bothered. The only thing she had to do was call me and say, Mom, I'm stay where I'm at. I'll call you or let you know when I'm getting ready to come home. And it would have been as simple as that. So he took the report and said somebody would be getting back in contact with me. So I went home, very distraught because I couldn't wrap my mind around the idea that I hadn't heard from my daughter and something is wrong. So that Wednesday evening, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, Keeshae friends came to my house. It was maybe 4 or 5 of them. I think about 5 or 6 of them I got. And both of her best friends were with them. And they told me they had dropped her off at a house in Churchill. And I was like, why didn't y'all tell me this before now? At this point, I'm like, frantic and cussing and fussing and, I'm just going off. And so I made them take me to this house. And by the time they went to the house and by the time they took me, I want to say it was a couple hours in that.
Okay, she's talking about that house that I was just talking about earlier, the last place where Keeshae had been seen. Okay, and by the way, you all, this is me and Mrs. Jacobs' second phone interview. The first phone interview, the audio was so crappy, I couldn't upload it. You guys wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. And so she agreed to redo the whole interview with me a second time. Okay. So this is our interview, and we'll just keep going. But yeah, that house that she's talking about is the house that the where Keeshae was last seen. Okay.
By the time I got there and he came to me or whatever. And so we got over there. I'm still fussing and cussing. Everybody's acting like they don't know nothing about this house that they took with them. Her best friend was like, Miss Tony, I would have never took you if she said she wasn't meeting her best friend over there. And I'm going to say her name is Tasha. And he was like, I didn't know this place, so I would have never dropped her off. But she said she was being Tasha, so I thought it was cool. He said that when Keeshae got there, you know, she called the person that answered the phone, and then she texted, and then somebody came to the door. It was a man came to the door, so he thought she was good. He watched her go in the house, and then he pulled off. I get to this house on Wednesday night, and the man that answers the door, says to me, yeah, I know, yeah, I seen Keeshae. I was like, okay. I was like, when did you see? He told me he saw her that Monday at 6 o'clock. I was like, nice, because I knew she was at home that Monday at 6. Because,
you know, who is this man? Was he just somebody that lived at that house, or was he like a friend of hers, or?
I don't know if he was ever her friend per se. I know he was renting a room from the people who lived in the house, and the person who lived there was their great grandmother's house. So I guess he was renting the room and assisting. But his time kept changing that he saw her on Monday, and I knew it wasn't right. But then what really got me was when he mentioned, he was like, yeah, I know Keeshae. She always came over here with her friend. When I said her name was Tasha, Tasha. Yeah, let's use Tasha. Yeah, I know her through Tasha because she always come over here with Tasha. And I sent her in and looked at this girl because one time did you open your mouth and say, this was a friend of mine, I know this person, we go over here a lot, You didn't say anything. You stood there pretending like you didn't even know what we was going or know these people at all. So at this point, I'm frantic. I get up in this man's face. I called the police and I told them, I was like, my name is Keeshae Jacobs. My daughter's name is Keeshae Jacobs. She's been missing. And I'm at the house where she last was seen, and this person is not giving me the right information. Keep changing the time that he saw her, and it's not correct. And then I told him pretty much, like, if I find out you had anything to do or did anything to my daughter, I was going to burn him down in the house. I didn't care. He's going to regret it because I'm going to do some stuff to him. Right. So the police came. He ended up calling the detective himself. And we allowed that detective to walk through the house and not the police. At the time, I didn't know nothing about this detective or who he was or anything. Found out later that he was working with him. Well, he was building a case on him about something else that he did around the time that Keeshae went missing. So he told me after he walked through, he said he didn't see any, he didn't see no evidence of Keeshae being there. And it was odd to me because you don't know what she was wearing.
Right.
You don't know anything.
And then I'm wondering how long was he in that house to come to that conclusion that
he wasn't in there long. Basically, he just walked through. So he told me that he was the detective that's on Keeshae's case would be getting in contact with me. I was like, all right. So at this point, I still ain't heard nothing Thursday, Friday. So Sunday, my friends, we decided to do a rally and pass out flyers in that neighborhood. So before I could get down there, the people who owned the house contacted me and let me know I could come and walk through the house. My friends were up at the park, Shimalaza Park, which is probably 2 blocks from the house. So I go and walk through the house. I see a tissue with some blood on it, Then they showed me outside the back door how it was the basement right underneath the steps outside. And I was like, he could have had my daughter in this house the whole
time. So it was like one of those basements that has a separate those doors that you have to pull up. Oh, okay.
So it was like.
So now we're discussing this basement that is attached to this house, and you have to go outside to get in this basement on the house. In the first video that we watched, you can see again these people, these journalists and things like that going through this basement. And y'all, I just got the creepiest feeling when I watched that first video. But yeah, that's what she's talking about. She's talking about how this new detective was assigned to the case and how he did a walkthrough. He didn't do anything forensic. He just did a walkthrough and said there was no evidence that she had been in that house. I believe the only thing that they found was like a little, like a tissue or something with a trace of her blood, but that was about it.
Go outside and you go down some stairs and it was like a regular door.
Oh, okay.
I got the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was like that. So I'm looking around and one of my friends, she gets up there like in the dirt and like it has like a shelf on it and it had dirt up there. She's all up there looking and I was like, y'all get down. I said, because I need the police to come in the house. And the people told me, and called the police while I was there and let them know that they didn't need a search warrant to look in the house. Mm-hmm. That they would give them for access to this house. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, I guess the guy took off running because he was nowhere to be found. The people at the house gave me all his belongings, like his Social Security card, anything that he left, his medical stuff. I had it all in a bag, in a brown paper bag. Mm-hmm. So I had it, and I let the detectives know I had it. They came and got it, I want to say that Tuesday, after Keeshae went missing. By now, it's been about a week since Keeshae had been missing, and I hadn't heard her talk to anyone. I was told that they did go into the house that Monday to look around, but I was also told by the people at the house that they went into the house like 3 times. Mm-hmm. The police did tell me that they found Keeshae's DNA in the house. I asked them if it was blood, was it enough blood to say that this man did something to her, like she's gone, and they literally told me no. They said they knew it was a struggle.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. So at that point, I'm thinking that they would put out a bulletin saying that, this person's a person of interest. Keeshae's case is foul play. Right. They waited 2 years. Keeshae's missing 2 years on her second-year anniversary when they announced that Keeshae had been missing.
So they waited 2 years to even put her on the local news?
No, well, like local news, they did a press conference with anybody knows any information. I did an interview where I think they did a couple of the local TV people came to my house and everything. But the police waited to say it was foul play.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and this is what I've been telling them the whole time. She wouldn't leave. She just wouldn't leave. That's not her character.
Right.
Keeshae was very family oriented, and I wanted her to leave home. I always laughed and joked when I told her she was never going to leave home. She was 30 years old living in my house. Mm-hmm. And so from that point, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't know. I don't think the police did everything that they were supposed to do in her case.
Right. And I'm wondering, if they found her DNA there and it was something about her DNA that said it was foul play involved, what evidence did they have, to say that it was foul play?
Because that's her DNA, the blood, they found blood in the house. Keeshae didn't live there, so she shouldn't have been no blood in the house. And the fact that the person that was the last person to see her, and he admitted that he seen Keeshae, lied to me, and he took off running. And I think he took off running because I found out later that he was being prosecuted for, I don't know if he got convicted for the rape, but apparently he had beat, drugged, and held this woman captive.
Wow.
And, yeah.
And I believe that's the young woman that was in jail in the first video. And I believe that's also the same young woman who was willing to talk to the journalists and stuff in the first video, okay?
So basically, he was raping her, but they said something about because they had sex before and it was consensual, they didn't get him on the rape. But he served, I want to say, almost 5 years for that. He just got out of jail, maybe. I think maybe about a few weeks ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. I was going on the way. Yeah.
So I guess, like, I don't understand, like, why the police, like, did they clear him?
I don't know.
Because if they cleared him,
they never named him as a suspect. So basically, the only thing they said was a person of interest told them that they had information about Keeshae case and he was incarcerated, but he wouldn't talk.
Yeah, so this is the person of interest. This is Otis Tucker. This is the man's name who they wouldn't release at first back in 2016 when Keeshae first went missing. Me and Miss Tony Jacobs, we talked about him. Like, I been knew his name even back the 4 months ago, but you know, like the first interview I did with her, I had to like re-prep her on that interview because I didn't want her saying anything that would sabotage the case or put either of our safeties at risk. But I been knew his name because she told me months ago, okay? I mean, in my opinion, you know, he could definitely know something, especially or he's probably the person who even has something to do with, you know.
I believe in my heart that, like, for me having interaction, not going off what the police said, I had interaction with this man. Mm-hmm. I talked to him when Keeshae went missing. He admitted to me, and then he lied about the times that he saw her. So I knew for a fact that you know something, or you had something to do. In my mind, I believe that his intention was to do to Keeshae what he did to the girl that he was locked up.
Right.
To beat her and hold her captive, plug her, and do whatever he wanted to do with her. You know? And because people came looking for her, her friends came looking for her that Wednesday, he had to get rid of her. I believe he gave her to one of his friends. Because I heard that the girl testified and she said that he told her that this is what me and my friends do. So what other friends do you have?
Right.
He's looking into his friends. Keeshae is a very young looking 21-year-old at that time. Mm-hmm. She didn't look like she was 21 years old.
She doesn't.
She didn't carry herself like she was 21.
She looks 16, y'all. Keeshae does not look 21 years old. Keeshae looks about 16. I would say even 17, but 17 is stretching it. Keeshae she has a baby face, y'all.
No, she didn't wear makeup and do all that stuff. Most Keeshae wore was lip gloss. And I think I had to fight her to do that besides when she went to the prom. But, you know, she's happy. She's a girl that when we go to the cookouts and stuff, the kids be like, that little girl ain't either. And I look at little girl and look at her, oh, she all right. She grown. Y'all leave her alone. Like they think she's like their kid.
She really does look young. And looking, I have one picture of her, and every time I look at that picture, like I said to you last week, like that picture, it stands out to me like more than any other. This one right here. Like she had her hair down, like I don't know if it was naturally blown out, and she had on like a navy blue shirt. And I said, this young lady does not even look to be an adult. And I had to check myself sometimes because sometimes I will mess around and like be like, I'll call her, like if I'm ever talking about her, I'll say that young girl or I'll say that baby. And I'll forget that this is an adult.
Yes, I always call her my baby. She's always going to be my baby. I don't even care if she's like 40, 50 years.
Yeah, because she looks very young for her age.
She was like, Mama, I'm grown. You can't be doing that. Da 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 da. I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna try.
But that's why people. Mm-hmm. What's this guy's name? Like, do you know, like the person of interest? Like, I wonder what's his name and if the police ever looked into like his friends or anything.
I don't like. I just know the guy that was at the house name was Otis. think that's what she said, Otis. I don't know anything more. I don't know if that's the same guy that was locked up or whatever the case may be, but that's in my head, that's who I think it is.
And then, like, I don't know the last name or anything like that. I'll just have you, like, if you know the last name, I'll just have you text it to me or email me or something. I won't have you say it on this. But
yeah, but they don't want to, they don't want to do too much or tell me too much because I don't know if they're scared that I'm gonna go rogue on them or whatever.
Probably so, but at this point it's been 6 years,
Yeah, it's going on 6 years. 6 years September. Her birthday coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm basically wondering, like, if the police crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's with this case, because it really does seem like they drugged their feet.
Oh, they did. They really drug their feet on a lot of stuff when it comes to Keeshae. A lot of the stuff that they do have, it was because me being relentless, talking to people, going out, so.
Now, do y'all hear what Miss Tony Jacobs said? She said a lot of the things that the police have is because she wouldn't stop fighting for her daughter, okay? Now, I just covered a case. I believe I covered this yesterday. Y'all got to forgive me because sometimes my days and nights run together because I never really sleep, okay? But that's one of the issues that I had with the case that I covered yesterday. Okay, because that case, I believe it was Diamond Bynum and King Walker. And that's why I was getting so irritated when I was listening to that video of the guardian, or the mother, rather, the biological mother of Diamond Bynum, is because she didn't seem like she pretty much was giving it her all in finding her daughter and her grandbaby. Now, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. Maybe it's because of stress. Sometimes people avoid difficult things, or they will run and hide from a problem because it is too traumatic. I don't know. But what I picked up off that interview, it was giving that she wasn't giving her all. And when it's a missing person, especially a missing person of color, I know from the majority of my cases that I cover on Black Women Aware, we have to do the footwork. And it's real fucked up that it has to be like that, because police agencies, departments, FBI, CIA, no matter where or what rank or whatever it is, they have more resources than the general public. Okay, they can subpoena phone records, they can subpoena social media platforms and go in through the back door and search things. They have more resources than the general public. And when it's a person of color, they're not going to do much. Okay, so if you compare Miss Tony Jacobs to that other mother, you will understand why I got irritated, because I feel like, and it's not just that mother up in that case, Diamond Bynum's mother. It's a lot of these cases where I just feel like, yeah, you talking, but you don't act like you care that your loved one is out here missing. And again, when it's a missing person, I understand that is that individual's mother, that's that individual's sister, and all like that. But when it's a missing person, y'all, I question every fucking body. Okay, because my only goal is to get that person home. I'm not an advocate for anybody but the person in question, whether that person is deceased and it's an unsolved murder case, or whether that person is missing and they don't know where they are. I'm the voice for them. Okay, I'm the voice of them. So I don't want y'all to think that, oh, Candace, you're attacking the family. The family isn't the victim, y'all. It's the person that is missing that is the victim. Okay. And another thing that stuck out to me about Diamond Bynum's case is Diamond Bynum has a very serious disorder. And a lot of times, from what I've seen with people who have that exact disorder, they're very hard to take care of. And then you have to think of the city and state she's in. She went missing in Gary, Indiana. So Gary, Indiana doesn't have a lot of resources for a person with that type of disability. Okay, so it's very, and I'm not saying anybody is guilty or anything like that. I'm not in the right position to state that. Okay, but this is allegedly, this is my theory, this is what I'm hypothetically supposing. It's very highly likely that, you know, a family in that situation where they have somebody with that type of disability, that somebody possibly close to that young lady has something to do with it. I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100. Okay, all the time it's not always an outside person. Most of the time when people come up missing or deceased, especially when it is Black women or a child, it is by somebody that they knew or had close proximity to. Okay, with that being said, let's go back to this video.
That was me. You know, and I tell them, I know enough that I don't watch enough Law and Order, Special Victims. That used to be my show. I can't tell. I know some of this stuff is not, you know, dramaticated, but at the end of the day, I know certain questions that I had in my mind. That first it came to my mind, why is it not coming into your mind? Right. You know, this is your job. I'm her mother, you know, and I tell people I have to fight for her, and I'm going to keep fighting for her, and nobody's going to tell me to shut up or put me on the back burner, because at the end of the day, who's going to fight for her better than me? I love her the most. I love her. I have the most to lose.
Right, and let's just be honest, like, we all know, we understand, like, the police have a tough job or whatever, but like, especially with our community, in the Black community, nobody is going to fight harder for our people than we are, you know. And yeah, and I'm always preaching that message. But quick side note, Sharon Smith, my heart goes out to you, and I'm very sorry for your loss. It's very heartbreaking when something like that happens. A child is unalived, and you're looking at over 2 decades and you don't have any answers as to what happened, you know, and I'm very sorry for that. I have no words for that. I wouldn't wish that on any mother. So I just pray God's peace over you in that situation. But I also want to say this is why, with how Miss Tony Jacobs fights for her daughter, for her daughter's name to be not be forgotten, how she stays on the asses of these detectives and things like that. Y'all, she gained my respect, and I only had 2 conversations with this woman. I have so much respect for Miss Tony Jacobs because she showed, only her and Felicia Johnson's father showed that kind of fight, that baby, we not giving up. We gonna get on y'all nerves. Y'all gonna remember the names of our loved ones. Y'all not gonna forget them. You not just finna tell me you too busy and you going on vacation. You're going to see me. And that's what I love about Tony Jacobs, and that's what I loved and respected about Felicia Johnson's father, even though I never got a chance to speak with him. They're not gonna. I feel like cases like Keeshae often get like pushed under the rug, and they don't really do anything about them unless we as a community hold their feet to the fire.
Right.
You know.
But like I forgot what his name is. He's I don't know if he's a lieutenant or what, but he works right under the police chief. And he's I did the missing persons day. He was like, Miss Jacobs be having her foot on my neck. I ain't having it. No, I'm gonna call, and if you don't give me the answers that I want, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care. I will cut everybody out. I will speak to everybody, and I tell them at the end of the day, it's not gonna make me look bad. It makes you look bad. Because you're not doing your job. These are questions that not only I have, that when people hear the story, they have these questions. So why you don't have these questions? Why you don't have these answers for me? You know?
Right, because who knows better than the police that, you know, with every passing day, stuff gets harder and harder to solve.
Right.
You know, who knows better than them than that? And for them not to, like, take every one of these cases, especially Keeshae, because if they had DNA in that house and they could prove by her blood being in that house that she, you know, was taken, you know, allegedly taken under like very dangerous circumstances, then y'all should be on the case. And like, I don't know how silver alerts work in Virginia because I know every state has it different, but she should have, I mean, from what I've been told, it seems like she should have immediately had a silver alert put out on her. Or has she ever had one?
No, because that law here didn't get passed until I think I want to say maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years after Keeshae went missing.
Wow.
Another girl had went missing here in Virginia, got military, and the man killed her and took her out on the stage of North Carolina, South Carolina, her parents, and I know them personally. Fought for it. They went to court and they was adamant that we get alerts for our teens and our young adults, because at the end of the day, if a family member comes to you and tell you that their loved one is missing and something is not right, who is the police to tell them that it's okay because they're grown? No, this is not what they normally do. If there's anything out of the ordinary, then they need to listen and pay attention.
Right, and that response, it seems like so unprofessional to me and so careless. Like, oh, okay, it's okay because they're grown, but even grown people have a routine in how they do things. You know, so like, why not listen to the person who knows them best and is telling you like, hey, this isn't this person's routine, you know? And I feel like it's something suspicious going on rather than just saying, oh, well, you know, they're grown and they just, nobody really just ups and disappears like that.
Exactly. And I try to tell people, I like, you know, I hear so many things about people and going missing. Everybody go missing is not a runaway. Everybody that go missing aren't on drugs. Everybody that go missing isn't running from loved ones because they've been sexually abused, mentally abused, or physically abused.
Right.
None of this stuff. But when somebody says that somebody is missing, that's the first thing they do. Or like I done heard from about Keeshae that she ran away with a boyfriend. I ain't no man that it mean that much to her that she would leave her mom.
Right.
And her brother. Her brother just came home from jail, so there's no man in this world. And I knew any man that meant that much to her, I would have known. Because she didn't bring everybody around me. Anybody that she liked, oh no. Because they used to say I was crazy. They wanted to bring that nobody around me. But the people that they really cared about, they brought, but my kids was funny about people who they brought to my home, period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a lot. It's you know, it's a lot that I don't know. At one point, I blamed myself, but then I thought about it because I was like, what could I have done differently to prevent Keeshae from going missing? And I was like, I think, and I sit back and I replay it. I don't care if before Keeshae went missing, I used to always be like, keep your phone charged. Where you charge it? Keep your phone charged.
Mm-hmm. So she's at this point in the interview, she's talking about the guilt that she felt. And I feel like no matter what she could have or would have or should have done at that time, what would have happened probably would have still happened anyways. You know, everything happens again for a reason, and we don't always know the reason nor understand. But you know, that's one of the things that always made me feel bad when I talk to Miss Jacobs, is because she kind of blames herself, and it's almost like she blames herself for things that were completely out of her control. Okay, let me get to what Sharon says. Sharon says she fought for 7 years straight. During the process, she got very depressed and her health was going bad. She's back now. She's stronger than ever. God gave her strength. Amen to that. Sharon, if you email me, I wouldn't mind going over your son's case on Black Women Aware. You know, for him to be 16 and everything, and have been unalived and nothing has been done about it. You know, I wouldn't mind covering or interviewing the case with you right here on this channel. Okay. Just because it's been 21 years, that don't mean nothing. They still solving cases that's 30 and 40 years old. Okay. They are, you know, they just are. They're coming up with new technology and new things every day. You know, you just don't give up hope. Okay. And I understand that that's not anything easy for anybody to go through. And I definitely don't doubt that you fought, you know, for answers and everything. This is not an easy fight. This isn't something for the weak. Okay. So I'm speaking with people like you, Sharon, Tony Jacobs, shout out to Zandra, Charisma Davenport's mother, speaking to families, That's why I said I have to take this channel very seriously, because it's not just about YouTube. It's something bigger than that. And when you're doing this kind of work, you have to have empathy. You have to be able to feel and understand that person's perspective. Okay, so I definitely don't doubt that. And this is not easy. And if I'm completely A1 with y'all, and I've shared my testimony many times of Black Women Aware, I had a custody battle. My kids were with my mother for 30 days. The 30 days that they were with my mother, I took everything that reminded me of my children and I put it in their bedroom. My son had his own room at the time, and my daughter would sleep with me. We had a 2-bedroom apartment. And I put everything in that bedroom and I shut the door, and I never went in there during that whole 30 days. And it was stuff in there like car seats, high chairs, stuff that didn't even have to do with the bedroom. My daughter's baby bath, anything, coats, shoes, all of that stuff was in that room, and I could not go in that room. Okay. So, Sharon, I'm just sharing that with you so that you understand that I do understand. You know, I'm very close to my children. I have a very close knit relationship with them, and I just could not imagine what you deal with even now, 21 years later, and not having the closure or not knowing what happened to your child. So, if you would like to, you can send me an email at blackwomenaware@gmail.com, and we can schedule something and we can get together and cover that case.
You know, when you made it somewhere safe. I don't need to know your business. I don't want to know your business. I just want to know you're safe. And what if something happens to me and I need to put my hands on you? I want to be able to get in contact with you.
Right.
You know? So I'm 51 years old, and I still let my mom know when I'm leaving. When I'm leaving, going to tell me, my brothers, and sisters, all of us do the same thing. All right, I'm heading on my flight now. I don't arrive. I'm checking in the hotel, and when it's time for me to leave, they know where I'm leaving or where I'm visiting to, or who I'm with. They know all that.
Right.
I've always done that.
I'm the same way. I'm like close to 40, and my mom and dad, I think it was one time that I went somewhere, and like even though at that time I think I was early 20s, and even though I was grown, like my dad and mom told me one time, like I bet not never do it again. My mom actually jacked me up and told me, like she looked me eye to eye and was like, I don't care how grown you are, always tell me where you're at. And even though I'm like closer to 40 now, I still do that.
That's the way me and my family are. We're like that. That's what the way Keeshae, and that's what I used to tell people. Somebody said one time that Keeshae was pregnant and she ran away. She didn't have to run away. She was 21 years old. Then I would have told her, girl, you better get yourself together. You about to have a baby. I would have fussed. I think I would have. No, when I would have fussed. Because when my son had my grandson, I was like, I'm too young to be a grandma boy. I ain't ready. But my grandson, Jahari, that's my baby, you know. And I used to tell him and his mom, I don't care what y'all do when it comes to him. If y'all do something that hurt my baby, it's gonna be hell to pay because I'm coming after y'all. And you know, a mother, you know, going through that pregnancy with their daughter, that's something different, you know. Yeah. I miss that. I want that, you know. So I would have been fussed. I'm like, all right, girl, you better get you a job and do what you can, you know. I'm gonna always be here to help you. I'm going to do what I got to do to help you, but you got to help yourself. And that's what I always taught my kids.
Right. But I think, like, even if that was the case and has she been expecting a child, I think it's normal for every parent to, like, fuss a little bit. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, like, even if your child is grown, I think that's normal. I think every parent does that, you know. But for them to, you know, go with the assumptions rather than listening to people and families who actually know these young women. That's what irritates me with some of these missing cases, because it feels like, or it seems like rather, the police will rather be lazy or careless about it, and then the public will rather make up assumptions than actually listen to what the families are actually saying about. And everybody is an individual, and everybody has their own personality, and it's just like everybody, like all these young Black women and children that are going missing, like you said, they're not runaways, they're not coming from homes that they're being abused, something actually sinister could be going on. So,
Yeah.
and that's what gets under my skin with a lot of the missing cases is I hear that a lot. Even how I study how the media and how the public responds to missing Black women and children, I hear that a lot. They often throw them off as runaways, or maybe they were in prostitution, or maybe they were in drugs. And I'm like, man, it's crazy how all of these women get categorized under those three things. They had it's almost like they're blaming them for their own demise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. It is. But, like I tell people, I said, to know my children and to know my relationship with my kids, you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't know that. Everybody that knows and knew my kids and watched them grow up, or friends of my kids, they'll be like, no, not Miss Tony, not Keeshae. No, they didn't play about their mama, and she didn't play about them. So it's been a battle, but it's one that I have to keep fighting and keep doing until my baby come home.
And what have you started to do since she went missing? Because I know you have a foundation, and I wanted you to tell my audience a little bit about your foundation.
I started doing the missing person stay first here in Richmond. I heard about one in Roanoke, and at first I was like, man, my family going to Roanoke, my daughter's missing, get this information out there. And then the more I started listening to the news and reading up on stuff, I was like, there's a lot of people missing here in Richmond. I need to do something like that here in Richmond. So that's what I started doing here. And the main goal was to let people know that they're not alone. It's more people out here going through this than we realize. And just that be a support system for somebody else, And so I started the Keeshae Jacobs Foundation, and I wanted to help families with people that have missing loved ones. I wanted to be that person, to go in, or even after the police go in, to be able to talk to the family and let them know, I've been there, I know what you're going through. The police said this, but this is what they mean. This is what you need to do now, because a lot of times the police, their verbiage for saying stuff is not cool. You think in one way because your head, all you can think about is your child. You know what I'm saying? So you don't always pay attention and listen to everything that they say. You hear what you want to hear, and you hear bits and pieces. Because that's what happened with me. I had to have my sister there with me so she can hear exactly what I didn't hear. Because a lot of times, girl, my memory had got shot. I didn't remember nothing. And somebody could tell me something 2 minutes ago, and the next thing you know, I'm in a daze because I don't remember what they just told me. Mm-hmm. So this foundation was designed to help with this process. And I pray to God that nobody has to go through this process. But if you do go through this process, I am here to help and navigate, to help you understand what the process is, what you need to do. And I know you're tired and you don't feel like doing it, but I'm that voice. When you're tired, I can speak for you. I can help you. Because it's a lot of days that I'm tired, and I really didn't have nobody to help me. I think I had one other foundation. It was the Lieutenant Parker Foundation, and the Parker reached out to me, and he had been, I was lost, and he basically talked to me, and I told him on at the Missing Person Day, I told him if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. He let me know that I have to fight. I still have to do any and everything in my power, because I know deep down my daughter is looking and she's expecting me to do this. So I get emotional.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. And I understand. 4 months after Keeshae went missing, her son passed away as well. So, like I told you last time we talked, I couldn't imagine going through what you are going through, and from myself and the women, because I have some women who are coming on board to help me with Black Women Aware for myself, and the other two women who are going to be helping me, like, our hearts go out to you. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to jump on board as well to help with these cases, because I'm tired of them being ignored and seen as just a throwaway. Our girls and the women in our community are not throwaways. We are worth something. We're
Exactly.
you know.
And the problem, another problem I have is, as a Black community, we're so used to turning our back and being like, I don't want to get involved. But you have to get involved, because this could be, it's not just a Keeshae Jacobs case. It's not just anybody else's case. It can happen to you tomorrow. Don't say it can't happen, because it can happen.
Right.
And you will want somebody to help you. And the community, the Black community altogether, they sometimes we can be our worst enemy. We can be our worst enemy, because things can happen, and first thing you want to do is, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. You have to be involved. We need to go back to where it was when we were little, when all the kids played in the neighborhood, and when your mom was home or not. If you did something wrong, the neighbor could say, you know what? Go sit your butt down. If you want to get on, you can get away.
Right. I remember.
You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, it's not like that, because you say something to somebody's child, your mother could be ready to fight you, because what are you talking about my child? I'm trying to help your child. Your child is doing something wrong, something about to happen, but all you can think about is the fact that somebody else is trying to discipline your child.
Right.
You know, it's a lie. It's a lie. So I do a lot of speaking, and I want to do this community and let people know we got to come together as a community, because I don't want, me personally, if I see something, if I see people, somebody's child doing something, I was out there in my bed. I saw my child doing something, cussing. I was like, excuse me, wait a moment. And they was like, right here. I was like, come on over here. Excuse me, ma'am. Your child, if I catch her cussing again, I'm going to take my belt off and I'm going to beat her tail, because it's disrespectful. There's too many adults around here. I know I cussed when I was little, but I ain't cussing at little adults, because I was too scared. Now, when they try their head, my mom could have hit it, my stepfather could have hit it. But I'm just saying, nobody heard me, you know?
Right.
So I don't want you to say, okay, it's okay if you need to be cussing. Like, my son was grown, and Keeshae was grown, but they didn't do all that cussing. They be like, oh, can I get a pass? Because I'm mad. I need to tell you what's going on. I'm like, that's it. Yeah, I need a pass, Mom. I need a pass. And I'm like, all right. I give it to them, then they cuss too much, and I be like, all right, man, that's enough. But I cuss, so I don't cuss them. You know, don't get mad at me, I'm cussing. But I'm still that person, whether people, I see somebody that's older than me or not, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And people like, you ain't got to say, ma'am, I'm probably only, okay, but yes, ma'am, that's when, and then it'll probably be because I'm in the military, too. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's all that. I want people to know that I respect them. I'm gonna respect you till you give me a reason not to.
Right.
You know, and if you're my elder, I will walk away and not say anything else to you before I disrespect you. Mm-hmm. So that's how I was raised, and that's how I raised my kids. They're not gonna cuss at an adult like that. I didn't raise them like that. And even with the music, the cussing in the music and stuff, and they like to listen to it. So I started listening to it and learning the words. I used to write the words down and learn the words and start cussing and doing all that stuff. And they was like, what you doing? Would you stop? Would you stop? And I be like, oh, that's what you like. You know, stop. I mean, ratchet. That's my God.
Because I know
you know what I'm saying?
Couldn't even say lies. My dad was the authoritarian period in my household. And my mom was like no disrespect to my mom, but my mom was like the snitch. She was like the one who kept us in line, but she was the snitch. So, like, if we said lies, and my mom had got to like our third warning or whatever, because my mom and dad, they were not married, but they co-parented very well together. And my dad was such an authoritarian parent that the house we grew up in, my father owned it. And he came and went as he pleased. And like, he was so, I don't want to say controlling, because oftentimes that word can be seen as negative. But my mom, she didn't have to work. She only had to take care of us, and there was 8 of us, right? So, like, my dad, when he would come, because he would come over every day. Like, if he had heard we would say lie or we had been out past the street light or anything like that, it was no going back. We were in trouble. So we didn't play with him. We didn't, so I know what you mean. I remember back in the day going and hanging with my friends. We would all be in like a huddle, just came from a candy store, and somebody would dare you, say the B word. And then we would all be looking over our shoulders like, where's my daddy?
I ain't know who is put a dog around. You tell my dad I'm gonna get a whipping.
And like you said, anybody's parents can be the snitch. Like, just because my mom was like in our family, like the neighborhood we grew up in, they would just look at you and be like, they'll say your last name. You a Johnson, ain't you? I know your mom, I know your daddy, and I'm telling. So you never knew. And I miss those days too.
We need to go back to them days. And I used to tell my children, I can laugh and joke with you all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm not your friend, I'm your mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that person to help you experience more things in life and teach you different things. And when I tell you something, it's gonna be for your best interest. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want you to be able to live your best life. And so it's crazy. Like before my son passed away, he did some things in his life that wasn't, the way I raised him. And he let me know, he was like, Mom, you was a great mom. You did everything right. I made this choice as I got to become an adult. Mm-hmm. So I don't want you to think if you failed as a parent, because you did not fail me as a parent. I had the best childhood. You was the best mom in the whole wide world.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, really, dude? I had to call my sister and was like, girl, listen to this. And she was like, who is that? I said, hey, Mom, she just got laughing, shocked falling. I was like, yeah, girl.
That's a big part, especially for the men, the young men. Like, when they start to take that accountability, that's when you can tell they going from childhood to manhood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I told you he knew I ain't playing with him, because when my head went to the side, he was like, oh, you're not going to be choking me. And I was like, this is where I'm going, straight to that neck. But, it was all love. And I told him, I was like, Keeshae was never the child that ran the streets when she was young. I kept her and my son into sports. He played football all the way from Pee-wees all the way up and got kicked off of the soccer team because he wanted to play football. He wanted to tackle. So I was like, oh, no, you got to put you in football. Keeshae, she wanted to play football, but I didn't let her. But she wanted to do everything her big brother did. I let her cheer. I made her cheer. So, but then she started liking cheering. And then when the cheering coach, she got sick and she couldn't do it no more, I took over the cheering coach spot because my daughter liked to cheer. So I did what I had to do to make sure my kids stayed busy and active. So, as a parent, I don't regret anything I did as them growing up. You know what I'm saying? Their childhood, they had the best childhood. They traveled, because my family's all over the country. Anywhere they went, my family lived, okay, we're going. Come on, we're going. Come on, let's go. And that's what I did. I tried to make sure they experience life and experience different things so then, be able to make better judgments.
Yeah, I'm going to pause that interview right there because I think I located some of the audio from the initial interview that we did. Now, I'm not going to play the whole audio because it is almost 2 hours long. That interview that you are listening to, it is on Black Women Aware. Just scroll down and you should be able to find it. But I'm going to just pause real quick to make sure that this is that first initial interview so that you all can hear when I begin to, I don't want to say prophesy, but when I begin to share these visions with her that I saw as we were talking, okay? So just let me mute real quick. Okay, so what I'm doing now is trying to find the exact minute mark, okay, with this interview. And again, let me know how clear you all can hear it. I'm going to try to turn it up as loud as I possibly can, but just bear with me for a few more minutes here. I'm going to try to find an exact minute mark in this interview. Not going to play the whole thing because, again, um, I don't like, it's some parts of this interview that I don't really want to release because I feel like it was just too much information given and I don't feel right releasing it. Okay. So just hold on. Okay, so I found the minute mark and I'm going to play this. Okay, and I just want y'all to listen to not only what I say, but just the energy behind what I say because I was so moved when I did this initial interview with Miss Jacobs that again, y'all, as soon as I got off the phone with her, and y'all see how we was vibing in the second interview, the interview that you all were listening to throughout this whole live. My interview, the first video you heard was a video with the new update. The second interview was the second interview that I did with Miss Jacobs. This one that you're going to listen to is our actual initial first interview. This was supposed to be uploaded to Black Women Aware, but again, because I felt like it was too much information given out, I in a need or a way of trying to protect Miss Tony Jacobs and myself and the information that she gave me, I did not release it. Okay, I am a person of integrity, and I don't just do stuff just because I'm trying to get as many clicks and views as I possibly can. I won't sleep well at night. I do got a conscience, y'all. So without further ado, I'm going to play this. And again, let me know how clearly you all can hear it, okay?
I mean, it's just as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
I wonder where this oldest man is today. Like, cause that's weird that he's like I don't even know if he's a suspect. So at this time, I have to say a person of interest in this case, and they don't have tabs.
They don't even name him as a person of interest.
Wow. And I wonder why not, because he isn't he like the last person who's seen her alive or before she went missing?
Yep.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. He sure is.
So he's possibly not even in the state of Virginia anymore.
I don't know. They won't, they don't tell me.
Yeah, but I've definitely seen a man, honey. It's a man. It's a man. And this man is very stiff-necked and strong-willed. And in the vision, he's like grimacing. And he's grimacing because it is people around him asking about your daughter. I will tell you that. But he's so stiff-necked that he's like, no, he's not going to say anything. It's going to take a lot for him to say anything because he will be like incriminating himself. So they would have to offer him a deal or something for him to talk. And that's what I've seen in this vision. But like I said, before you take my word or anybody's word on it, get confirmation from God for yourself. Get into a quiet place and just listen for his voice and he'll speak to you. But I definitely feel like, allegedly, I have to say allegedly, but I feel like the friend could possibly, you know, have something to do with it. Because I'm sorry, you and me not getting along, you know, me as the mother and you as her friend not getting along is not enough for you to not speak to me or not come out and show support. You know, it don't make sense.
Yes. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, I know somebody knows something, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just, girl, you be amazed at the stuff that can happen here in Richmond. And right now, I'm waiting for the detective. The detective told me he do have some new information, and he took it to the attorney that was overlooked by the other detective that was on her case, and they took it to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. But I had to literally call in there and cuss everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I cussed everybody out. From the Commonwealth Attorney to the sister, whoever the hell it is, I cussed everybody out. And like I told them, I said, I did all these interviews. I said, be careful. Who the fuck you playing with? I said, because I do an interview, and it won't make me look bad. It'll make you look bad. Trust me. Trust me, you know that.
And they looking bad all over America. I'm telling you, every police department that has something to do with a missing black woman or child, they're looking bad all over America. Like, I can't tell you how many cases I come across, like Keeshae, like the young lady down there in Houston who just went missing, Felicia Johnson. Felicia Johnson, her family. At that time, y'all, around April, May, Felicia had just went missing, okay? And her father had a group of advocates, and they were trying to stir up the public and garner attention and get attention in on her case, okay? And so that's what I'm talking about at that time. But as you heard, which I don't know if I caught the exact minute mark, but thank you, Miss Sharon Smith. Sharon Smith said, baby, if she said there's nothing wrong if you were prophesying, let it be known God gave that gift to be used, call it what it is. That's right. But I felt so overwhelmed with emotion the first time I talked to Miss Tony Jacobs. I was so scared, y'all, because I have been called so many names for having visions and being spiritually awoken. Like, I've literally been cast out by my family as the Black Sheep, which is a new series. If y'all haven't seen it yet, I'm going to be delving into that right here on Black Women Aware. But yeah, I've been called so many names that when I see these visions, I will bottle them up unless the Holy Spirit convicts my heart. And once he convicts my heart to where I just can't take it anymore, I will begin to blurt out whatever he's showing me. Right? So that's how it was when I did this interview with Miss Tony Jacobs. I was in the car. She was talking about the circumstances surrounding her daughter's disappearance and around the case and everything that she had endured. And I just couldn't sit still. I couldn't sit still in the car. And I just cut her off mid-sentence, and I just got to blurting out what I seen. And it wasn't just one vision. It was two visions. What's up, Miss Slim Duncan? How you doing? But it was two visions, okay? The first vision was about like I've been explaining this whole live, it was about the man being a giant and people around him trying to get, the truth out of him or trying to get him to break down because they were ready to break down and start speaking about this case, all right? And then the second vision had to do with Miss Jacobs herself, because she could be asleep, okay? And I'm not gonna say everything with this vision because it really was specifically just for her, but she can be asleep or whatever and not be resting, okay? A person who can physically sleep and not be resting, that means they're worried. That develops into insomnia later on in life. That means your brain is, if we were to look into your brain, all we're going to see is what I seen in this vision. What I seen in the vision when I seen Miss Tony Jacobs, I seen a mouse, a white mouse. I specifically know what I seen, a white mouse on a metal wheel just running around in her mind. Okay, this is what the guy was showing me. And then not only that, but I seen her pacing her floor, back and forth, back and forth. And then not only that, but she had told me she had just bought herself a new beautiful home. The last home she had lived in, she couldn't take it, y'all, again because of the circumstances in her life, but with one of her children passing away unexpectedly and the other one missing. I completely understand why she couldn't take it. Yeah, Miss Slim Duncan, I'm glad, one day you're gonna have to come up here and share what you know about or what you've experienced with spirituality, because a lot of people call me crazy, honey. But yeah, so I was talking to her and I said, look, Miss Jacobs, I said, you have to get rest, because with rest is going to come clarity. You're going to be able to hear God clearly, and he's going to be able to direct your footsteps in this, because you're going to need his help to bring your daughter home, or to, like, this is the hard part. If we can't bring her home physically, we can bring her home spiritually. We can bring her home and by bringing closure to this case, by getting the answers that we need to close the case and locking the people up that has something to do with her disappearance. Okay, so that's what I was saying to her, and I was so scared because, again, since I was about 14, it has always been brought to me by other people, not people in my family, but it has always been brought to me by complete strangers that, ma'am, you guys going to use you. You're going to have a woman's ministry. Okay. And just me having Black Women Aware, that wasn't me trying to manipulate the word of the prophets and do things and bring the bring the vision alive by myself. It just happened that way. Okay. I had like people again prophesied to me at 14, telling me all throughout my teens and my 20s, like, you are going to be a woman's minister. Like, I remember, y'all, when my son was 2 and 3 and going to pick him up from daycares, and one of these daycares he went to, it was like a daycare ministry. It was Christian based. And I walked up in the daycare, and it was another daycare worker there. The woman looked at me, and when she looked at me, she turned her head, and started rocking in the chair. And the way she turned her head, I thought I had did something wrong. So I was like, man, why she give me that strange look and turn her head and start rocking in that rocking chair like that? And I couldn't let it go. And as I talked to the owner, I just couldn't even pay attention, because the owner was telling me about my son's day and how his day went and all, and I couldn't pay attention to that. And I just begin to, like, not mean or disrespectful, but I kind of got the woman in the rocking chair. I got her attention, and I said, why'd you look at me like that? And then you start rocking in your chair. And she held back for a minute, and then I looked at her and I said, I can take it. Like, basically, whatever you're going to tell me is not going to offend me, and I can take it when somebody keeps it real with me. You can be truthful. And so she said, you are meant to be a woman's minister. She said, that is God's plan for your life. So when I created Black Women Aware, I was not even thinking about those times in my life. I was thinking about the instances and circumstances that I had with domestic violence, and the fact that I had realized that these type of situations, when it happens to Black women, it is not taken seriously. Okay, it's just pushed under the rug. It's like another one bites the dust, and that was a problem for me. Okay, that was a serious problem, especially when you look in media, or it could be YouTube, it could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, it could be TikTok or whatever, Instagram, and the only stories that really blow up about, not minus out the celebrities and all, because they're free game, they're always in the public eye, so you're going to talk about all the ratchetness that they do. But regular everyday women, Black women, we're always seen in the media as ratchet, fighting, loud, ghetto, and that was a problem for me. Okay, not just with our missing and murder cases not being shown, but with the fact that when we are shown, we're seen as a stereotype. So I even started to do interviews on Black Women Aware. And if y'all go over, I have these amazing interviews with women who are in different parts of business. Some of them own publishing companies. Some of them are school counselors. Ashley Banks, her interview, Ashley Banks interview, now mind y'all, all these women who interviewed me were amazing. I learned something from each and every last one. They all gave me goosebumps. But when you go on Black Women Aware and you hear Ashley Banks interview, you would get goosebumps. Okay. And I need to get a hold of Ashley Banks, because Ashley Banks was supposed to be on Black Women Aware and do a live monthly to because what she does something with realty, and she helps Black women manage, not only get financially literate, but eventually down the line buy houses and stuff, right? And so she was supposed to do a live every month on Black Women Aware to help women do that. And I kind of messed that up because I ended up getting overwhelmed with the little baking job that I had, the little, I called it an externship because it was supposed to teach me about getting my cakes in the stores and retail. Y'all know I'm coming from the medical world, so I don't know a lot about retail. But also I fell into a deep, I won't call it a depression, but when you have social anxiety and you're kind of introverted, you will go into a place where you don't, like, say for example, if you've been too, like people are just too much in your face and you have no private time, you feel like you have to recharge and you will hide yourself from the world. You'll just shut down. And that's where I was. I just shut down. So I definitely will reach out to Ashley and get her back on the show. But Slim Duncan says, my neighbor told me she was moving in a month. She gave me a prayer book and told me to try and memorize the prayer on addiction. Before I even told her about my mom's alcoholism, she began to pray for my mom's organs and her spirit dealing with alcoholism. I always was drawn to her and never knew that she was a minister. Yeah, it's the spirit in her. You know what I'm saying? Just like me. This is why, part of the reason why I'm introverted, because I can very easily pick up on people's undertones. This is why I don't like it when people are not truthful with me. Like, they will put on a front. Like, for example, I just had a big falling out with a lot of close relatives in my family, and we'll go over that when I do the Black Sheep series, when I do the next episode. But what I can't stand with certain people is that they will put on a front, like they like you, like they for you, whether they're family or friends. I hate those kinds of fronts because I can read your undertones. And I know, like, even if you're a relative and you really do got love for me, but you're angry with me or you're unsure of something, I need for you to speak up about that because I can feel it. And it's going to throw my energy off, or it's going to make me so uncomfortable to where I'm going to say something to you. Nothing disrespectful, but I'm going to make you confront that demon. Okay? So Slim Duncan also says she had me praising hallelujah in the name of Jesus in the middle of our complex. Yeah, when you feel that Holy Spirit energy on you, God is like, I can't even describe it. That's why the Bible says taste and see that the Lord is good. Because when you're tasting something, unlike the other senses, when you taste something, you are actually experiencing something. Okay, that's why I be telling people all the time, I can't get you there if you won't at least take one chance and try God for yourself. You literally have to step out and you have to taste and see him for yourself. The more I explain it to you, you're just never going to get it. And God has a way of like, when you experience him, I can't even put it into words as I'm speaking to y'all. When you experience God, you know that one, that God is real. Anybody who's really had a real touch of the Holy Spirit, you know God is real. You can no longer deny his presence. If you're somebody like me and God has literally exposed himself to you, not just by his Holy Spirit as far as talking to you, you can hear his voice, you can see visions, you can have dreams, but I literally see God and demons alike in nature. Okay, in nature. Okay, somebody just sent me some pictures when I went on my trip home of the clouds. It's something with me and the weather. I can detect when Satan is up to something in the weather. And in Ephesians, it talks a lot about principalities in heavenly realms. And when I look at the weather and when it gets real dark, I'll put these pictures that somebody sent me on my community tab. But they sent me these pictures and it was real dark on one side of the city. It was a rainbow going through and it was sunny. And I said, Satan's up to something. That city is very demonic, and I know when the enemy is up to something. Okay, I don't know how I know, but I be knowing. Okay, and this type of talk right here, it scares and it creeps my family out, and this is why they call me crazy. This is why I'm outcasted. This is why I'm known as the black sheep, and this is why I'm doing a series on the black sheep. Okay, because when you're the black sheep, you actually are the chosen one. It's something very anointed and very special about you, and the family and the people that you are around, they can't grasp it. Okay, so yeah, when you really have had a true touch from the Holy Spirit, you cannot deny anymore that God isn't real. And for all of these people, especially in this BWE spaces, who believe that Christianity is made up of, you just going to church and letting somebody push madness down your throat. That's not Christianity. That's religiousness. Okay. Those are the same people who put Jesus on the cross. That is not Christianity. That's why when I be hearing people trying to divert people and say, oh, well, don't believe in God because he's not real. Those people have never experienced the Holy Spirit. They've never experienced it. All they did was went into a church and they heard somebody with a Bible preaching to him. They've never went into a closet and prayed. They never really been into nothing. They never really tasted and seen or experienced God on their own. And every time I talk to somebody like that, they never say God did anything to them. They say the people in the church did something to them. They say a believer of some sort or some way, some shape or some form did something to them to discourage them. And that's why they don't believe in God. Okay, it's never God who did anything to them. That's why if you look at the spirituality series that I had going on, which I might start back up, I was saying how I do not argue with unbelievers, and there's a few reasons why I won't. One, because even demons believe in God and they tremble. Okay, they believe in God. They know God is real. And then another thing about it is I'm not going to argue. What is the purpose of me arguing with somebody who already made up in their mind that they don't believe? It's just not going to get me anywhere, and it's just going to steal my peace and joy, and I can't let that happen. So Slim also says, I can't wait for you to do an open panel so I can share what I've been through thus far. Miss Slim Duncan, I'm always encouraging people to come up here. I'm always offering the link. If you just leave me your availability, you can and send it to my email. My email will always be in the description. And if you ever want to come up and share something, you definitely can. Just send me your availability in to blackwomenaware@gmail.com, and I would definitely open the floor for you. That is perfectly fine. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that spirituality series helps somebody, because it is a lot of lies that go on about what true Christianity is. That's why I was trying to get people to see the people that y'all see in these churches, and the ones who deceive y'all, the ones who backstab you, the ones who break your heart. And I understand that. I don't think it only happened to you. It happened to me too. I had somebody who was a whole prophetess. Literally, her gift was so strong, y'all, to where she didn't have to verbalize what God was showing her. She would look at me. And when she looked at me, whatever the Holy Spirit was showing her, he would reveal to me, and I would see it in a vision. Okay, this is how I knew I had to leave my hometown, and how I knew that the man who fathered my daughter was out to unalive me. I knew it way before it happened, because God showed it to me. Okay, this is real stuff. Okay, the real spiritual Christians, they're very in tune with the Holy Spirit. And you will hear them say, everything they do, it goes back to the Holy Spirit. I wonder what God say about this or that. They don't really they're very peculiar people. You won't catch them hanging around a lot of people. They're not your religious people that you catch in the churches with the big fruit hats at the bake sale, gossiping and the holier than thou. They're not that. Okay, they are not that, and they know the Bible from a different aspect. They don't just go around quoting it and stuff like that, you know. And again, y'all have to listen to that spiritual series that I did, because it will break all of that down to y'all. Okay, because there's so many people who are led astray by people who have never experienced the Holy Spirit. Okay, the first time I heard the voice of God, I was not in no church, didn't know loud pastor. Y'all know them pastors who be up there playing and they talking that voice, the Lord, and they kind of grunt after every word. Them actors, I call those actors, you know. I call those motivational speakers or actors, because you literally feel the Holy Spirit when he really is resonating in somebody. He don't need you to act, or he don't need you to say big words or certain words to motivate or inspire people. When the Holy Spirit is on a pastor, they could say one word and you will bust out crying, because you will feel that love and that joy and peace in your spirit. They don't have to work hard to move your spirit, is basically what I'm saying. Okay, they don't. All right, so I always get a little upset. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, when I come on YouTube, especially in BWE spaces, and you hear people who have absolutely positively never had anything to do with the Holy Spirit, and they're trying to convince people that God ain't real. Let me tell y'all something. I did not get saved in no church. I wasn't in no church. I was 14 years old, and I had a pistol in my back, and I had a sawed-off rifle pointed at my chest. That was the first time I heard the voice of the Holy Spirit, and he told me this. He said, ain't nothing gonna happen to you. Just do what they say and you will be okay. All right. First time I seen a demon or whatever, I was about 11, and I seen the demon in a dream, and the demon basically said, tomorrow something bad is gonna happen. Okay, the next day my mother's house burned down, y'all. Okay, the first time I seen a vision, because that was a dream. First time I actually seen spiritually a demon or whatever, I was like in my early 20s. And my son, like, I started to see the changes in my son. When I first had my son, he was an infant. You know, you obviously obviously he was an infant, but in his infancy, he was a very good baby. He did not cry. He was not colicky. The only time he really whined or fussed was when he was hungry, when he was wet, or when he was sleepy. Other than that, he was a very, very good baby. He was very calm. He was very intelligent. Like, he was a very alert child. He paid attention to everything. But about around 2, 3, we had moved into this townhouse, and I began to see a change just in his eyes. You know, they say the eyes is the window to the soul, and I see it. You know, and demons love attaching themselves to children, to the elderly, you know, people like that, you know, and I go over all of that in that series. But I seen that change in my son, and that's when I began to see demons. Okay, and I actually was able to talk to demons. So when people try to tell me or convince me, oh, you're worshiping a white Jesus, no, that's who the religious people worship. And I know what brought that about. That's who they worship. I don't worship none of that. I worship a spirit. Okay. And I know what I believe in is very true. So I'm actually happy. Not only that new evidence is coming out for Miss Tony Jacobs in this case, but I'm happy that God placed me in the position to give her some closure 4 months ago and say, hey, it is people trying to wake that predator up and say, hey, it's time to pull the wool off this case. It's time to, the party over, baby. The ship does sail, and it's time to bring this mother closure and tell her what we know. I seen that in the vision, y'all, way back when. Okay, and I just may upload the audio, because now again, with this new information, even the detectives are speaking. They're saying names and they're saying things that 4 months ago was not being revealed to the public at the time. So I may just upload this audio so you all can listen to the full interview. Okay, but again, thank you all for listening. Slim Duncan, Miss Sharon Smith, y'all get in my Gmail and let me know your availability so I can do these lives with you all. I would not mind doing those. It could probably be something that y'all can teach me, because I don't know everything. But Yes, but I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And I wasn't expecting to get on here and do another live, but I had to cover this, because again, I had literally seen in a vision. I had prophesied to Miss Tony Jacobs, and I told her, your answers, you're going to know. God's literally going to direct your footsteps once you rest. You can go to sleep. Sleep is different from resting. They're not the same things. I've been able to go to sleep, but my mind is not resting. I've suffered with insomnia. Insomnia is a demon. It comes by way of worry and anxiety. Your brain just don't stop. Okay. So not only that, but because she was real, she gets very shaken up with anxiety, and I know she struggles with that. Okay. She's never told me that, but I know she struggles with it. I can hear it in her voice. Okay. So I'm glad that you guys got to see that one, the power of God through this whole situation, because I predicted this a long time ago, that people are wanting to come out and talk. And as you heard in the first video, it's a young lady who is beginning to speak up about what she knows. And I'm loving this for Miss Tony Jacobs. She deserves her closure. You all be blessed. And please remember what I always tell y'all: be safe, be alert, and be aware. Please get in the comment section below and let me know what you thought about this live. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This is Candace Yvette, and I am signing off.